Make sure you like, subscribe to this channel, and like this video, give it a thumbs up. That really helps algorithm and getting the word out about this channel. I've got some great giveaways that I'm going to do hopefully this summer. We've been monetized for a little bit, so I'm hoping to give back to you guys, so don't miss out on those. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you could potentially win some pretty cool stuff hopefully this summer. Alright, so I wanted to make a video comparing what I think are the two best options for getting into night hunting or just recording your hunts with a rifle. So you've got the ATN Xsight 4K 5x20, which it's the scope and everything. It gives you the ability to do infrared night vision with it. Or your other option is the Tactacam Solo Extreme, or 5.0 if you have a 5.0 still. But the Tactacam Solo Extreme is the new version, so that's what we'll be looking at. With the FTS system, film through scope, attached on an existing scope that you already have on a rifle. So I wanted to make a video comparing the two and letting you see them side by side and one after the other, and let you make a decision on which one you like. I've shot both of them for years. There are pros and cons to both of them. We'll talk about those as well at the end. I want to kind of let you make a decision at the end. I'll kind of tell you what I think the pros and cons are of both of them, and you can make that decision which one's best for you in your situation, your scenario. All right, so when it comes to the daytime video that both of these options have, the ATN Xsight 4K 5x20, that's a tongue twister to say it over and over, and then the Tactacam Solo Extreme and the FTS system. Both of them in daytime have excellent quality video. They both are going to look great. You're going to be impressed with both of them in the daytime. Now, if you look at pros and cons, the ATN is basically a camera. It's basically like a digital camera with a crosshair on it. So the further you zoom in, you start to lose clarity. You start getting digital zoom, which pixelates things. And I've got some good examples of that to show you that it looks really good zoomed all the way out, but when you zoom all the way in, you're going to see some pixelation, which isn't a major deal, but that is where you're most accurate. And so if you're aiming at something fairly small, you want to zoom all the way in because that's where you want your precision to be. You don't want to shoot it zoomed all the way out and lose some of that precision ability. The Tactacam, obviously you're zooming your scope. It just happens to be filming whatever you're filming. So whatever you see through your scope. So you're looking through your scope, so you don't have you don't have any pixelation or anything because the scope itself is doing the zooming, not a digital zoom. When it comes to the nighttime videos, and I think that's where the big debate is going to be on these two systems, is the nighttime videos. I use the same light, the Sniper Hog Light Coyote Cannon. The beauty about that, and that's a whole other video, is that you can change out the LED from an infrared LED, which is what the ATN Xsight wants to use, so you can see night vision, or you can swap it to a green LED, which is what a green or red, which is what the Tactacam would want to use. The Tactacam will not see night vision like infrared. It will only see a red or green light. So I'm swapping that LED out. It's the same system, the same light, those Sniper Hog cannons, Coyote cannons. So that equals the playing ground a little bit as much as you can. It's not perfectly apples to apples, but it's about as close as you're going to get as far as the lumens and everything. When you're looking at these two at night, it's really you're comparing infrared to green light, red lights. So it's really not so much of a comparison of the Tactacam versus the ATN. You're looking at one of them is in infrared and the other one is green light, red light. And there are pros and cons to that. The ATN Xsight using infrared, it is totally dark when you're not looking in that scope. So you can't look around and scan the woods as quick like you can with a green light. With a green light, you can scan and just by turning your gun without having your eye in the scope and look for eye shine, and then zoom in on that eye shine to find your kill. Infrared, though, supposedly there's less, the animals are going to see it less, so there's a pro there. That's a whole nother debate. Put a comment down below. Do you think green light, red lights affect animals like infrared, or does infrared affect them less? And what are your thoughts on that? What have you seen? I've got my own opinion. I'll save it for the end. But that's what we're looking at. One of them is a colored light, and the other one is your basic infrared light, which won't give off color. It does give off a little bit of red or a purple, but not much. When you're comparing them on price, the ATN Xsight is going to be about $800. I have the ballistic calculator, which if you're going to get one, you need to get the ballistic calculator too. That's another $300. So you're looking at about $1,100. Without the ballistic calculator, it's really hard to gauge distance on the ATN Xsight because it's a digital scope. So you're going to have to, it's a neat piece of technology that comes with it. How accurate it is, I don't know. You got to enter a bunch of information, so that can get tricky as well. The Tactacam Solo Extreme is $200. The FTS is $140. It's $340 total. You might find a sale on either of those options, but the Tactacam coming in at half the price of the ATN Xsight without the ballistic calculator. It's almost a third of that if you want to throw in the ballistic calculator on that as well. Both of them are going to be shooting in 1080 HD. ATN calls theirs 4K, but it doesn't shoot in 4K. Take that for what it's worth. But both of them are going to be in HD, not 4K. 60 frames a second is the Solo Extreme with the FTS. I think the ATN Xsight might go a little more in frames per second, but when it does, it takes away your crosshairs. Why? I don't know. I don't know why they made that an option, because why would you want a digital scope without crosshairs? So it takes it away. It doesn't give you the option to add it back when you do the more frames per second. So keep that in mind. The big thing here is weight. The ATN Xsight is heavy. It's very heavy. It's a full scope. It's got a battery in it. It's got a sunshade thing that comes off of it. When you throw a ballistic calculator on, that's even more weight. It is heavy. It comes in at over 2 pounds. The Solo Extreme FTS comes in at less than 1 pound. So it's double the weight. And you add the ballistic calculator on top of the ATN Xsight 4K, you're going to get even more weight. So it is a heavy thing. It's probably about 3 pounds by the time you have everything on there. So you notice it when you're walking through the woods. The Tactacam, you don't notice it. It's less than 1 pound. So that's one perk to that. And then this next part, versatility, this category is very important depending on what you want to do. The ATN Xsight's going on one gun. Now they say that you can have different settings and sight it in. So if I want to put it on my 17 HMR, I can have a profile for 17 HMR, have all that ballistic information in there, swap it over to my 243, have that profile, and I just take it off, put it back on, and it's going to be set for that. I would never trust that. I think you start swapping scopes back and forth, you're asking to make misses and have misses. So I would never encourage that. For what it's worth, they claim you can do it. I would not do that, especially if you're trying to be real accurate. So it's a one gun type of scope. You're getting it on one gun, and it's going to be on that gun. The Solo Extreme, Tactacam Solo Extreme, that FTS can go on any scope you've got. So if I want to hunt with my 300 blackout, I can just slide it on that scope that's already on there, and then I can pop it off, put it on any other gun that I want to hunt. The next day I want to hunt with a 243, my kids are hunting, I can put it on a 223, I can put that Solo Extreme on there. So it's very versatile. The camera itself can actually come out and also go on my duck hunting shotgun. It can go on my bow. I've had it on a bow fishing rig. Not to mention, anything you can think about, you can put it on. So it's very versatile. So that's a perk for it. The versatility of it is way more than the ATN Xsight. And again, about a third, half the price, depending on the options you get. Customer service, I haven't had any customer service issues with ATN, but if you get on their sites, you're going to see a lot of people complaining. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. I get that. So if they're going there chirping about problems, they're the ones that have the problems. The people that love them don't necessarily get on the Facebook pages and say, I just love this, I have no issues. So I understand that. Take that for what it's worth. I'm on their ATN Xsight Facebook pages, and it's a lot of people complaining. Tactacam, you're going to have issues with it too. I'm not say you will, but they have issues as well because it's technology. You know, Teslas are burning up right now, and they're a $50,000 car. So any technology is going to have some issues and some bugs. Keep that in mind. If you have a problem, don't, you know, say the whole company's trash. It could just be you got a bad one that day. You know, contact customer service. I think the better gauge is, how does customer service help you? Do they reply to you quickly? Do they you know, get you your trade in or send it in and get it back to you quick? That's important. I can't really speak for ATN, but I have had things with Tactacam that I've had to ship in and get back, and they've been great about. Like a solar panel that wouldn't take a charge anymore. Ship it in, ship it back. In a week, I had it back to me, a brand new one. So I can say the Tactacam customer service is really good. I can't really speak to the ATN. Batteries. This is a big one, and there's pros and cons for both. The ATN claims their battery lasts 18 hours. So the thing about it is, though, the ATN, you got to turn it on and leave it on. For you to, you know, if a deer or something is coming, for you to power it up, for it to get itself turned on, because it's a computer, in essence. It's a computer that's going to come on. It's going to bring up your reticles and everything, and then you're going to have to try to shoot something. You got to keep it on the whole time. You can't let it go off and then just power back up. It won't get up in time for that animal unless it's something really, really slow. But it says it'll do 18 hours. So you could, in theory, turn on in the morning, hunt 3 hours, turn on at night, hunt 3 or 4 hours, and do the same again tomorrow and not lose battery. I don't know that I'm getting 18 hours out of mine. I don't think I'm getting quite 18 hours. That's pretty big. I don't know that I'm getting that. But the Tactacam Soul Extreme is somewhere between 2 and 3 hours, depending on if you're filming in a higher level or a lower level. I get about 2.5 hours out of mine if I just keep it on and don't turn it on and off. In theory, you could leave it off, push the button or hit the remote, and it come on, because it'll come on in about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and it's on. You're already aiming through your scope. You can see through that scope because it's just a normal scope. The ATN you can't see through until it loads up, and then your reticle and stuff comes on. So your Tactacam, you could, in theory, go ahead and let it power off, not use any juice, turn it on, it comes on and you're recording. If you wanted to keep it on all the time and just wait for it to hit record, the batteries are real small. You can keep a bunch of them in a pocket and then swap them out. But you're only going to get about 2.5 hours out of that battery. So that's kind of up for you to decide which one you want more. But one thing you need to keep in mind is the ATN, if that battery goes dead, if you're on a 3-day hunt and it goes dead on day 2, you don't have a sight to hunt with. You're done hunting for that. You're done until you charge it up. You can carry an extra battery pack, like a phone charging battery pack, like a juice box or whatever, and charge it back up or run it off that. That's my understanding. I haven't done it, but I understand that you can do that. That's up to you if you want to have to carry around a battery pack, a phone charger type pack. Some people do anyway, but something to keep in mind, think about. If your Tactacam goes dead, you don't have any more batteries, you're still hunting, you just might not be able to record that hunt because, again, you're just looking through your regular scope. Setup. This is where they both have cons, and you got to decide which con you like the most. Or I guess I should say which con you hate the most. Either way. So the setup on the ATN Xsight, when you first put it on, you're going to zero it in, is a pain in the butt. They say they have like a 2-shot zero or something like that. They don't. You cannot 2-shot zero that thing. I don't care how they tell you can do it. You've got to move a reticle on a thing, and then the instructions are awful. They really need to fix that system of the zeroing your rifle. But once you get it zeroed, it should hold 0, and it does a pretty good job of that. So once you have established 0 and you've set that up, you've gone through that headache of setting up your profile, entering the ballistic information, having the 0, you just turn it on and go hunting. The in the field aspect of it is pretty simple at that point. You're just turn it on and it should be zeroed in, you're ready to shoot. It's the pre-setup on that is a pain in the butt. The Tactacam's kind of the opposite. The pre-setup's easy. Your scope's already sighted in, you sighted it in, and, now all of a sudden you slip the FTS over it and you're hunting. It's the in the field aspect that you've got to do a little more work with the Solo Extreme. I encourage, and what I do is every time I go hunting, I check my FTS. I actually will connect my phone to it. I'd have a wrench set I keep in my backpack, and I will connect to it. I will have to turn my camera, get it lined up like I want it, make sure the reticles are level and not all cockeyed. Then I will check the quality and make sure the camera's pushed in far enough or pulled out a little bit if I need it to be, so that I get the best quality. And sometimes just looking at it on your Tactacam Connect app will mislead you about the quality. You can look at it on the live streaming to your phone through the app and think, that looks pretty good. I encourage you to make like a 5 or 10 second video, like turn the camera on, record for 5 or 10 seconds, scan through the woods, zoom in on something, and download that to your phone, and then watch it on your phone. It'll take 20 seconds to download it to your phone from the app. Watch the video on your phone and go, okay, that looks good. Because sometimes something little like your camera not being pushed all the way in, or maybe it's digitally zoomed in or out because you went duck hunting the day before, and it'll really mess up the quality that you're getting on your FTS. So there is more work in the woods. You don't necessarily have to do it every time. You can just go and just leave it in your FTS, keep it mount in there, squeeze it tight, shouldn't move. But you may only get that once of a lifetime buck one time. So I want to make sure it's great every time. And in reality, when you get into your blind, you get in your tree, the first 30 minutes probably ain't gonna be much happening because you've spooked everything out of the woods. So that's a great time. Just go ahead and check, see what your camera sees, download it to your phone, take a quick look at it on your phone once you've downloaded it, and go, okay, that looks good, or maybe I need to adjust the zoom or pull the camera in or out a little bit, or turn the camera to get my reticle lined up. There's a little more work on that end when it comes to the Tactacam. So that's up to you. Do you want to do more work on the front end and then just be able to turn it on and go, or do you want to do a little more work in the field, potentially by having to check and make sure your reticles are lined up through the app that Tactacam provides? That's up to you. SD cards. The Tactacam can take a 128 gigabyte SD card. The ATN Xsight cannot. It could only take, I think 32 was the biggest it could take. It couldn't take 64. So if you put anything in it bigger than a 32, it's going to give you an error on your SD card, which took me a long time. I went a lot of hunts getting an error on the SD card, not understanding why. And then I had to get the 32 in, and it started working. I don't know why that is. It seems like it'd be silly to, why would you not want 128 and just be able to record everything and not have to worry about running out of room? But that is what it is. I would encourage Class 10, U3 on any of them. They don't necessarily need them because they're not filming in 4K. They're just in full HD, but you might as well just use that for anything that you're wanting to get a good quality video of, as far as the class of card you're using. So the Tactacam can take a bigger card, more memory. That's important if you want to just use that same card all year. I did have, in my testing of these two, trying to test side by side, I had more technical issues with the ATN Xsight. It would freeze up. I'd have to hold the power button down for like 2 minutes and it would shut down and power back up. That happened quite a bit. I couldn't get the SD card I'd have to pull the SD card out, wipe it, put it back in. Not saying you couldn't have issues with your Tactacam, but I didn't have any issues with the Tactacam on these testing. All right, so in summary, let's talk about pros and cons of each. ATN Xsight. Pros, it's easy once you do the initial setup. When you go hunting with it, it's simple. Turn it on and go. If I have the gun zeroed, I could give it to my wife and say, hit the power button. Here's how you zoom. Go out and shoot with it, and she could do it and not have any issues. The initial front end sighting in and getting the ballistic information in would be more work on me. The ability to add the ballistic calculator is really pretty cool when it works. It hasn't worked well with subsonic and suppressors for me. It's the range is too big. When I was using just regular supersonic ammo on it, it was pretty accurate. It was pretty cool. So it is a neat piece of technology you can add to a digital scope. Cons. You lose quality at full zoom. That's pretty important if you want to be accurate. If you're wanting to be precise and accurate, you need to be able to zoom in and not lose that quality, not lose your video quality. It is heavy. You will notice it carrying it in the woods. I can assure you that. The battery isn't removable. So it would make sense to me if you could pull that battery out and charge it and then pop it back in, have a backup battery to exchange in there, but it's built into the scope. You can't do that. So you're limited to, if that battery goes dead, say you get 3 years, 4 years, and that battery's not as good as it used to be, you're not getting 18 hours anymore. And it'd be great to be able to swap that battery out and not have to just be stuck with that battery that's losing its ability. Can't use a large SD card for me. I don't want to have to worry about running out of space and popping cards in and out constantly. I want to be able to put a 128 in there, hunt all season, and then at the end of the year, I'll take it out and clear the card if I need to. I had, again, technical issues with it, and I think overall, most people are having technical issues with ATN compared to like a Tactacam. Now, both of them are going to have issues, so don't go, I had an issue with a Solo Extreme or a 5.0, yada, yada. Both of them will have issues, but I think based on what I've seen in my own experiences, the ATN had way more issues. Freezing up, wouldn't come on for whatever reason, and then you'd hold the power down. I had to hold the reset button down a couple times to get it to just go off and come back on. IR light is cool on the ATN, but I've kind of gotten to where I don't like the IR light. I like the green and red lights more. The ability to scan the woods and not have to keep your eye in the scope the entire time, it can kind of give you a headache if you're constantly looking through the scope to try to see stuff, because you can't see anything because it's pitch dark. The green light or the red light gives you the ability to not have to be constantly looking through the scope, which it's cool at first to have that IR light, be able to look through there and see, and you're like, oh, it's so great, clear. After a while, you're gonna go, I would rather not have to look through this little bitty screen. I'd rather be able just to look with both eyes open. So that can be a pro or a con, however you want to look at it. All right, Solo Extreme on the FTS. Pros, it's very versatile. You can film on any weapon, whether any gun, any weapon, very versatile. That's a big perk, and it's half the price, at least, or a third of the price, however you want to look at it. So I can put it on more weapons, more guns, more bows, and it's half the price of the ATN. That's a big plus. It's very lightweight. You could put it in a pocket. I know I carry 2 of the 5.0s, one in each pocket when I'm going in a deer hunt, and I just pop those out. 5.0 wides, I pop them out on the ground. So they're very lightweight, very small, easy to carry. Quality at full zoom is still great because, again, you're not getting a digital zoom, you're getting that lens zoom that your scope is giving you. And I think that's important if you're wanting to still be accurate at what you're shooting at. Having the ability to still see things crisply at full zoom is very important. My scope will still work if my camera dies, which you'd hope it doesn't, but the ability to still continue my hunt or kill my animal if my batteries are dead, that's the most important thing. The catching it on camera is a bonus. In the Solo Extreme, you get that. Again, half the price. Cons, you're going to need to check it when you go out in the woods. When you get in the blind, you're going to need to check and see what is the quality, where that camera's positioned in the FTS, what does it look like right now. You're going to want to check that if you're really serious about getting a good quality. Quality be a limit to the scope you're using. That's one issue is, if you're using cheap scopes, if you've got Tasco scopes or maybe a cheap Bushnell from Walmart, your quality's not going to be as good. You're going to probably need a Vortex or a Nikon. Cheap Nikons are what I put them on mostly. They're $100 to $150, $200 at the most. I think the best one I've got was a $200 Nikon 225 scope. It doesn't have to be a super expensive one, but you don't need to put it on a cheap Walmart scope and expect to get great quality. So that can be a con if you're not wanting to spend the money to have good scopes on your rifle. Keep that in mind. You got to use a red light or a green light at night. That's a negative versus the, if that's a negative to you, if you don't want to use red lights and green lights. Something to keep in mind. All right, so here's my thoughts, my opinion, and it again is my opinion. If I had to pick one, and they're both great, I wouldn't, say any of them are bad or either of them are bad. It's not to shame one, but if I had to pick only one, and it was my money, I'm going with the Tactacam Solo Extreme. The versatility of it, the ability to go, it's bow season, I want to record my kill, or I'm dove hunting, I want to put it on my shotgun, or I'm duck hunting or turkey hunting, whatever. Why wouldn't I want the one that can do more things and be half the price? I could actually buy multiple Tactacam cameras and put them on multiple guns, as opposed to only buying one FTS, or buying one ATN Xsight. So if you're asking me my opinion, I think the Tactacam is the way to go. Now maybe you're this big night hunter and you want to just night hunt only, and you think that red light, green lights are bad and the animals will see them. maybe you don't want to go with the Tactacam. I don't personally think that's an issue. I've hunted with the red and green lights at night. I haven't seen anything that got in the beam of the green light and then turned and bolted like it was spooked by the green light. Now, will they look at the green light? Sure, they'll look at you when they get in it, but it's more of a confusion, like they don't know what they're looking at. Similar to like a game camera, which game cameras are using IR lights as well. They'll look at it and go, there's something there, but I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to keep going, but I'm going to go cautiously. And if it's something I'm looking to kill, I've shot it by then. So I don't think using red light and green light bothers them. Now there is a formula for, is it green for dogs and red for hogs or something like that? I don't know that. I'm not enough of a night hunter, but there's some kind of a one color is better for others formula that you might want to look up if you're really serious about night hunting. I've been using just green on everything because I think it looks better. I can see green better at night, and it lights up the woods better for me. So I've been going with green. Probably wouldn't hurt to have both. It's pretty cheap with the Sniper Hog Light just to order one more LED and have both. But anyway, I don't think it bothers them. You tell me in the comments if you think red lights and green lights bother animals at night. If you think it really spooks them and you should not be using red and green lights, you should only use IR lights, let me know in the comments. If you're killing lots of animals with a green light, let me know that in the comment too. I think it's an interesting debate. I don't know the answer one way or the other. I don't know if anybody does, but it's interesting. And it'd be interesting to see y'all's opinions on it. But if I'm only picking one weapon or one camera that I'm going to film hunts with a gun, whether it be at night or during the day, deer hunting in the day or predator hunting at night or nuisance hunting, I'm going to go with the Tactacam if I have to pick one. That's my opinion. Let me know yours.